Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we are going to be finally finishing up our series on Grand Arena Theory, GAC 101. And in today's video, we're going to look at finally the attack phase. This is really where the rubber hits the road. This is where all the work that we've been looking at for the last couple weeks comes together. You've built your roster, you've scouted your opponent, you've made a plan, and now it's time to attack. So with that being said, there are just some basic, simple rules and tips that we need to consider to be able to be successful in our execution. So let's go ahead and look at those. So we have 5 rules. There are 5 rules we need to look at. One of the things that gets talked about a lot is when should you attack? A lot of people let their adrenaline decide this for themselves, whether their opponent starts attacking, they just have to get in there, or the second it opens, they have to be in the match. But ultimately, if we're wanting to be strategic, that's not always the best way to do it. On the other hand, it's also not best to always wait until the last minute. Some people, at the end of the day, they have one time to attack, and that's when they're going to attack no matter what. But again, if we're trying to be strategic about it, there's something that we can do. And that is, if you notice that both you and your opponent go a heavy offense, it's better to attack late. Like, you want to attack last in this case. Because if you know that both of you set a really light defense, the match is probably going to be decided by undersizing. It's going to be decided by undersizing, whether it be in fleets or on the ground or some type of protection team. And these are the battles where you see 2 people score like 26-70 in 3v3, and one person has 1 more point. Like, it's really, really high scores, and people are just barely losing because they are attacking first. However, if both you and your opponent go heavy defense, it's best to attack first. You want your opponent to essentially be scared of not only your defense, but also your offensive score. This will generally make them trip up on a team that they probably shouldn't try to undersize, but they're going to anyways because they're already afraid of the score you put up. Or maybe because you developed your counters well enough, you scouted well enough, that you were able to take down really strong teams with weaker teams, and they think your back wall has a bunch of junk, when in reality, that's where all your GLs are. So as a general rule, if both of you guys go heavy offense, it's better to attack late. If you both go heavy defense, it's better for you to attack first and really just set that bar as high as you can. Number 2 is really, really simple, and this actually doesn't even apply to most matches. If you ever get a match where your opponent uses the choke point fighting style against you that we looked at in the last video, which is when they put one team that you just can't beat, or they put maybe 2 teams and you can only beat one of them, you need to know what is worth more, the top zones or the bottom zones. Let's say you have one Galactic Legend counter and it's gas, and your opponent puts both Ray on the bottom wall and SLKR on the top wall, and you have to pick and choose which one that you're going to be able to beat. So you need to know what territory is going to be worth more. Generally, at least in Division 1 and 2, when it is 5v5, fleets are actually worth more. And so if you know you can beat the fleets, and you know that you need to get through that top zone, go for the top zone. However, in 3v3, the territories start meaning more on the bottom. So you need to know if you're in that choke point kind of situation where you know you can only get one wall, know which one is more points. It seems really simple, but at the end of the day, sometimes you get to the end of the battle and you look back and you lost by, like, I don't know, 50, 80 banners. You're like, oh, if I had just gone bottom instead of top, I would have been fine. So check these points beforehand. Never hurts. Number 3 kind of contradicts this, but if possible, always bottom first. If you know you're going to full clear, always take out bottom first. This will let you know what is on both top and the back wall at the same time, so you can best use your teams and go for the highest banners possible. If you go for the top first and use your best counters, and then you go for the bottom, and then you realize what you used on top, you actually needed a bottom, and you could have used another team on top. So very simple. It's probably one of the most important rules. Number 4 is a little bit more psychological than it is practical, and that is walk away instead of going tilt. What is going tilt? I think all of us have kind of experienced this at one time or another, where you lose a match, or maybe you don't even lose a match, but the match goes really, really, really poorly, and your adrenaline or anxiety or whatever it is kicks in, and you just want to beat all the things, and you want to beat them right now. I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if it's like I need to make up for the loss I made. I can't let this beat me. I don't know what it is. but this generally results in more losses than it does in wins. And sometimes, unless you're a streamer, it's just best to put the game down, walk away after a loss, go do something else. Like I've lost entire GAC battles, not because of the first loss, but because of the second loss. And the second loss could have been prevented had I put more thought into it and had I not tilted into making the choices that I ended up making. So when you lose a battle, don't be afraid to just completely walk away. Come back in 15 minutes, in an hour, whatever. And the last rule that we're going to look at is actually kind of more just GAC resources that everybody needs to be aware of. And the top two GAC resources for the attack phase that I use every single time. Again, these resources, they are in the syllabus. You can find them pretty easily. So the first resource we need to look at is the GAC Counter List with swgoh.gg. Basically, you go to the site, you look for the team you're trying to counter, and it'll spring up a huge list of all the teams that are used to counter what you're looking at. So let's say you did your scouting, and your opponent never put Ray on defense, and all of a sudden, they put Ray on defense, and you're kind of scrambling, okay, well, what do I have, what can I do? And you start going through this list looking for options. And as you can see, I point out the C Watt counter versus Ray. You see that it only has an 85% chance of success against this team with JTR. And you're thinking, okay, so this works most of the time. When does it lose the 15% of the time? This list is a little incomplete. It doesn't give you the full information. It gives you enough to start with. So what you do, after you look up this, you find the counter you want. You see that it's mostly good. You go and you look at the Gambit counter sheet. The Gambit counter sheet is a complete and full guide that pretty much gives you everything you need to know. So you went and you found that C can do this. So you look up on the Gambit counter sheet, you look for Ray, you find all the teams that people are using to beat her, and then you find the specific counter we're looking for, which is C Watt. And you can see there's even a video attached, there's a note attached, there's a lot of information, and you can go and watch that video. And not only are you going to see the general strategy, but you're going to see a good player talk about this counter in general, what it normally needs, what it's normally bad against, what are the risks, what are things you can do to help it. So if you by using these two tools in Tangent, you can pretty much have someone personally coach you through your GAC battles, especially the ones that you're really not prepped for. So that is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all of you who have not only just watched this video, but have watched this series. If you liked it, please give a like, subscribe, and another thing actually for this video in specific, it is the last one for the series. So other videos or other series you would like to see, please comment those below. I do have a list that I'm working with right now of content I would like to get out, but sooner or later, I need to know what my viewership wants to see. So please tell me whether it's GAC related or not, just anything to do with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. But until the next time, if you do want to find me, I stream my GAC battles every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a Discord. It's going to be linked in the syllabus below. And as always, come back for YouTube. So that's going to be it for today. As always, guys, stay awesome.